Unmute Beverly. Beverly, we can't hear you.
Got it. Recently, we attended a real internment in Milwaukee to be followed later by a virtual Shiva from our individual homes. While we were supposed to be limited to 10 at the gravesite, we were actually 14, duly masked and separated. The small Jewish cemetery nestled beside a busy highway has the graves of many beloved relatives, 3 sets of my aunts and uncles, as well as a more distant great aunt. Her tale is ironic because she used to disappear intermittently from her home in Montreal to live in New York, sometimes for several years, never revealing her whereabouts. My mother once bumped into her in New York and pressed her to take my father's business card lest she die and have no family information on her. That's exactly what happened. When she died, alone, in a shabby rooming house, police found the card in her desk drawer. They notified my mother, who arranged for the body to be buried in Milwaukee with the family. Ironic, because during her lifetime, she had refused to visit, even when we offered to cover all expenses. Oh well, she's now with us and all the Milwaukee family. But this funeral was for my cousin Earl. For this brief service on a blazingly hot day, we brought water, wore masks, and prepared to don gloves when we shoveled earth into the grave. We carried traditional small stones. 48 friends and family joined us to watch the graveside service via Zoom. Mourners who might not have been able to travel so far even in regular times from Canada and from China tuned in. Speeches and reflections were reserved for the later Zoom Shiva. For that, once again, relatives and friends near and far appeared, including Shushin from Nanjing, speaking touchingly and meaningfully, remembering Earl. I spoke of how close Earl and his wife Harriet were, saying that the names of special loving couples intertwine, creating a greater than the sum of their individual parts, until it becomes nearly impossible to write about one without the other. Harriet and Earl, Earl and Harriet. As a specific memory, I chose a Passover Seder tradition, where this very tall, whimsical cousin annually hid the Apocryphon on top of his head so that the small children had to struggle to find it. I tried to capture the essence of Earl, stating, if I were only limited to one word to describe him, what would it be? It would be splendid. Harriet best summed him up by repeating the quote she had placed in his obituary, one of his favorites from Shakespeare, which so very much applied to him. His life was gentle, and the elements so mixed in him that nature might stay up and say to all the world, this was a man. That says it all. And so we made our final farewells unmasked, speaking from adjacent little boxes on our computer screens, our hearts aching, not only for Earl, but also for a future where once again we'd be able to embrace and comfort each other.